Welcome, everyone, to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, with the lovely and talented R Keith Andrews and the gorgeous and stunning Nicole Sakach, now a co-author of a book. I'm so excited for you, dude.
Isn't that wild?
Totally wild. Totally. And before we get too deep into the ET connection tonight, let us give a rundown of everybody who's here. SJ in the gold medal position. Race fan with the silver. 11 taking home a bronze. We have Jeffrey DeRue and Philip Baca and Big Bad Andrew right there. Stewpot, how you doing? Gorgeous and luscious Jules, what is up? Gregory Smith, how are you? Nice to see you here tonight. The lovely and talented Cosmic Fleur is here, everyone. She'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. To the left, if you do not mind. Grand Paul Holland is here, everyone. Yes, it's been a couple of days. He probably has another 3 new guitars. Jay Fox Hunter, Drew Morris, good to see you. As we continue on, Mennonite Abe, always a pleasure to have you here. Solar Warden, the gorgeous Steph Dickey of Florida. Chefist, how's your mustache? Give us an update if you don't mind. Ufologist, what's happening? Jazz Ramblings, good to see you. Stu Gerson, everyone. Stu Gerson. There he is.
Woo!
That's right. Ross Lambda. What's happening? Snakes on a UFO. Always a pleasure to have you here. Jason 688. Logan, nice to have you guys here. Appreciate you. Let's see. Scrolling on down. Michael Leger is here. The Michael Leger. Yes, the Michael Leger. Good to see you, man. Oumuamua, nice to have you back. How was your trip around Neptune? Let us know. And I can barely read this right now. I am so tired. Richard Elmore, nice to have you here. The awesome cast chaser, $5,900. The gorgeous Laura Stevens has arrived. Alien visit here. Hi, gorgeous Bev. Nice to see you. And let me see. Vincent Proto, what's happening? Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, the lovely Renee. Nice to see all of you. 509er, nice to have you back. Block Chic, looking lovely tonight. How are you? The gorgeous Christy Bergeron has arrived. JR, what's happening? And the lovely Nikki, the gorgeous Pam McSee. Cloudy with a chance of UFOs. Nice to see you. Fortune 66, how you doing? Steve Stockton, good to have you here from KPNL. Sweet Donnie D, what's happening, man? Oh, there he is, everyone. Let's get everybody to write down Merle in the chat room. Merle. Smoky Mountain Wanderer, what's happening? Fabster, thank you for coming on in. Hello, Jello. Peter Steins, what's happening? And there's Cat Chaser. Thank you, Cat Chaser, for kicking off the super chat tonight. Really do appreciate all your love and support of this show each and every night. Thank you so much. And Greg Moyes, nice to have you here. There's our Keith Andrews, the Inner Voice Enterprises. Evil Carl is here, everyone. Evil Carl, not to be mixed up with Human Carl, who Nicole has actually met.
He's not so evil.
No. Oh, there's the gorgeous and talented Nicole Sakach in the chat room. There he is again, everyone. Merle. That's right. You know, I bet you he's sitting at home with a bag of chips on his stomach. I bet you, guaranteed. Alan, Grandmaster, hi, Shar. Tom Paul Cajun, what's happening? And we're caught up. Oh, there he is. Stetson John, everyone. Stetson John has arrived. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. I woke up like 4 minutes ago. I literally fell asleep in my chair, did one of these body shakes. I looked at my clock and it was like 3 minutes. There's messages from Nicole. We're like, link, please. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my massive super chat there. Look at that. Thank you so much, gorgeous Laura Stevens. And we're going to get going here in just a few seconds. And holy cow. I got to wake up. Somebody.
Take the light socket works wonders.
Yeah, I might have to do that, R Keith. Hi, gorgeous Jenny. I am like,
Well, that's the other option there, Nicole.
Beelzebrad, nice to see you. We're going to get going in 29 seconds. Thank you so much for Kat, Carl, and Laura kicking off the super chat tonight. Hi, Sensational Sherry. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And, of course, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. Fap, you don't know fashion. You couldn't fit this shirt over your head. Thurston Howell III, nice to see you, buddy.
I've been hanging with Pat all night.
Exactly. All right, 5 seconds. Let's do this thing right now. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, at KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. It is time once again where we all find our comfy seats. We grab our drinks, grab our snacks, because we are about to ride on the Woo train tonight as R Keith Andrews is back for the ET Connection. Keith comes in once a month to break down everything UFO and extraterrestrial with us because, hey, sometimes we're allowed a little fun and enjoyment in talking about the stranger things in life. And Keith, honestly, is one of the nicest people you could ever meet on this planet or out there to talk about this subject. Joining us as well is newly crowned co-author and researcher. She's just not a cook anymore. Nicole Sakach, research assistant with Grant Cameron. And before we bring Keith on, Nicole, I want to say congratulations for you. And you're one of my best friends in this field. And to have you all of a sudden see your name on the front cover of a new book with Grant Cameron, it hit me today when I saw it. And I'm not gonna lie, I fist pumped a few times.
I woke up this morning and looked at it again and had a little moment. I was like, wow, this is the Grant Cameron effect. Honestly, completely. Like, he's the writer. I'm just along for the ride. And, turning a panel or 2 panel discussions into a book, wow, it's mind blowing. So, me, I'm just forever grateful to my UFO boss now. So this is nuts. And yeah, like I'm not just a cook anymore. It's official. I have to change my title.
Yes, co-author. Congratulations. If anybody deserves the respect and admiration in this field, it's you. And I mean that sincerely, as you know. And R Keith Andrews, my friend, my pal, my pork chop sideburn buddy. How you doing?
I'm still breathing, which is better than I was doing a couple of days ago, but, what the heck?
Well, if you can't have a heart attack between friends, who can you have one with? Right?
Well, you got to do something to pass the time. It breaks up the rest of the week.
Very true. Very true indeed. How you been doing? How's the aliens been?
Well, it caught me a little off guard, but apparently I've been spending a lot more time up there than I thought. Because last week I was suffering almost daily from potassium crashes. And as it turns out, UV complications. Which once you get off planet, that's actually not that hard to pull off.
Okay. Sounds interesting. And what do you mean by once you get off planet, that's how easy it is to pull off?
Well, because on Earth, the normal atmosphere provides you UV protection. Contrary to popular belief, the stuff that you buy for UV protection doesn't work as well as you might think. Yeah.
So what you're saying is the aliens are providing a solid 90% SPF or something like that for the sun?
No, I mean the atmosphere itself does a better job of it than what mankind's SPF anything does.
Gotcha. I actually figured out a topic for tonight, and we haven't done it in a long, long time. And I know usually we throw our topics right out the window.
Yeah, we'll start with it though. It's a good way to get started.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What was that, Nicole?
I said it might get mentioned. You give us a topic, it might get mentioned.
We mentioned usually it becomes a footnote in the discussion. But what topic were you looking for there, Dave?
Well, you know what? It came up in conversation because I had a listener of mine reach out to me who believes their child is being connected to extraterrestrials. Put it that way, in a polite form. I'm not going to mention the person. I'm not going to mention the situation or anything like that because that's kind of in private for right now. But we haven't discussed children and UFOs in a long time. And, this is something where as parents, Keith, and you're a parent, I'm a parent, Nicole's a parent, we always try and protect our children, from anything that we can, except when it comes to UFOs, it gets pretty difficult to be able to protect our children when they can seem to do anything that they want.
And I couldn't agree with you much more than that.
Well, this is a close to heart topic for me. This is actually what brought me out of this introverted world of solo lone wolf research, into the social media world. Once I became a parent, I couldn't ignore certain things anymore. And I had to reach out to people and talk to them and have discussions instead of be alone in this. It was no longer just me. I don't know about you guys, but it is something that's kind of ever present with me right now, with my research and my everyday life. I mean, just being a single mom, I can't do what I do and really exclude my son from it. And then being an experiencer and knowing what I know about that and the high strangeness that takes place, you have to do your diligence for.
Oh yeah, that's very much the case. I mean, I'm in a strange boat from that one. My son, I've been telling him for years that I've been taken, and I'm lucky in as much as they've left my kids alone.
Yeah.
To the point that it was only just a couple of years ago that my son actually got caught. He knew I'd been telling him it had been happening, but it was only a couple of years back that he actually came out and went, okay, now I've seen it. Now I believe it.
Yeah. Was that a nice moment for you guys, or was it like a big moment, or did it just kind of happen and pass?
Well, it was a big moment. And the next couple of months were just absolutely, he was very much on edge about whether or not, if I was going out to the garbage, whether I was coming home.
Right.
Because what had happened is I got off at I was off shift at 10 o'clock. And I told him I'm just taking the garbage out. And he asked if he could wait up to say goodnight when I got back in. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Well, I come back in, and, long story short, he was already in bed. So I didn't think anything of it. I went to bed. When I got up in the morning, he come flying out of his bedroom. And the first thing he said after he wrapped his arms around me was, he wraps his arms around me and goes, "You came back." I went, yeah, I just went out to take garbage. And he goes, "Yeah, but Dad, were you taken last night?" I says, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Well, I stayed up until 2 o'clock and I just couldn't stop any longer." Right. So like I told him, I said, look, I told you I've been being taken for years. He goes, yeah, but Dad, I didn't believe you.
So that was like that was like the slap in the face moment, the aha moment. So
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was something bizarre because he doesn't panic about it. He knows it happens now. He just goes with it. Like he'll watch the moon now and go, Dad, there's activity. I guess you're going to work. You know.
It's amazing. Yeah. See, my son is still young enough that
Nicole, just one second here. One of you has your speakers a little too high. We're getting some echo feedback coming through, if you don't mind, and appreciate that. Go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to say my son's still young enough that, I mean, he comes to me and describes strange things to me, and he's thankfully old enough now he can speak more clearly, and we can work out some things, or at least have a half conversation about it. But I mean, I kind of look at it as my job right now is to just let him bring things up and discuss it, and it's my job to just kind of document everything. I write down, he's got a dream journal that we keep, and then of course he's told me some other stories, and he talks about a past life that he knows that he's had. And yeah, it's just some things that you can't write off as just silly kid things that I try to keep track of. And one day he'll probably be like, Mom, my mom's nuts. Let's never talk about UFOs. But at least for the time being, like he knows what I do with Grant, and he knows certain things, I would say. Like he's we're comfortable with discussing ufology in my house. So whoever's around, so he does join in, and has like his opinion on things already, which I think is delightful. But I don't ever, I'm not like, hey, get over here and let's watch this abduction video together or listen to this or that. I mean, there's things that any parent would shelter a child from.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where you really have to, as we know, you can't exactly protect them as in stop it from happening.
Right.
But by having the open discussions with them, what you can do is help them cope with the idea that these are just people. They look a little different, they've got different outlooks on life, but they are just people.
Well, what I've noticed is that most of the time he's telling me things like that. Like when he was really young, he used to describe in one of his dreams that this octopus-like alien, and he called him an alien, would visit him, and they would talk, and sometimes they would play. And I was like, ooh, an octopus alien, that sounds kind of creepy or scary. And he's like, no, Mom, it just looks a little weird. I found that he was telling me things like that, as I was trying to gauge if he was, what his kind of emotions were while he was telling me about these things. But as a mom, I never want to add to any kind of fear he might already have or any anxiety, so a lot of times I'm just kind of like, oh, well, that's really interesting. What else can you tell me about it? But he's never come to me in an afraid moment. You know what I mean? He's never been like, this happened and I was scared. He's only had one nightmare in his life that he talks about, and it's not anything that I would consider high strangeness or the phenomenon related. So, I mean, maybe I would discuss it some other time, but he'll kill me for these conversations now when he's like,
oh yes. No. Remember, YouTube is forever.
I know, and that's great. We're already a UFO family, so
yeah, but he's gonna be when he hits about 14, 15, he's going to be like, Mom, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. I'm trying to get friends, Mom. I'm trying to get a girlfriend, whatever it may be. I'm just
Yeah, if he can find somebody who can deal with this, he's got to keep her.
Very true. Trying to deal with Nicole is difficult. You're right.
Hey, I won't deny it. I will not deny that.
You're trying to get me in trouble, aren't you, Dave?
Yes, I am. But when it comes to children, we all as parents want to play that mama bear or papa bear, Keith, in regards to protecting our children from anything that could put them in harm's way or anything that we consider abnormal, like extraterrestrial contact. I mean, how often is this happening and parents have absolutely no clue, Keith?
I couldn't even begin to give you a percentage on that one. Kids are taken more often than, I know mine were taken. Especially my eldest was taken a lot, because a lot of the time what I find, one of the giveaways, one of the commonalities, if you will, is that they will talk about something looking through the window, where there's no way that you can chalk it up to it can't be a branch because you don't have branches out there or what have you. And they talk about something coming through the window or being at the window. And it could go, of course, we have the traditional in the closet and under the bed thing. A lot of the time, these are simply the way the kid manages to translate what they're seeing. And you'll see it in some of the drawings and what have you that they do. Now, granted, they use color. The drawing may not be that well, but you look at the basic forms, and you'll find that they are indicative of some of the creatures that we're dealing with.
Yeah, my son has just started getting to an age where I can't say an age. He is just finally interested in like crayons and drawings. And it's been fun trying to keep track of his artwork. He's been more of like the collage sort of artist. Like, he puts different things together. It was never really drawing. And now it's steering that way. So it's kind of neat. Grant has started collecting some of William's pictures, and
so has he gotten to the point of actually liking to eat the things yet?
He hasn't said that directly to me, and we don't really say taken. We say visited or shown.
I was referring to eating the crayons.
Oh, what with the crayons? What?
He wants to know if your son has found a favorite color of crayon to eat.
Oh, no, not eat. He doesn't. He's never been an eater. He doesn't eat weird things or put them in his mouth, but he loves the color blue. If I don't make him do stuff with other colors, everything everywhere will be blue all the time. So that's his favorite color.
So in regards to parents out there, if they have an inkling that their child may be taken, whether they are an experiencer themselves or whether they are, have nothing to do with this outside of a potential interest of the topic, how can one tell if your child is being taken?
From my standpoint, it really boils down to you watch what they're talking about. Are they talking about noises at the window when you don't have anything functional? Like if you don't have any trees near your window and you're hearing scratching at the window, you may be dealing with it's a possible that you're dealing with a taken. The other thing to really watch for is more when they're outside, daytime or nighttime. It'll be more often at night. If they're constantly looking around, and especially if they're looking upwards, at the rooftops or at the treetops, and they're looking a little edgy, you're likely looking at a problem.
I don't know if I could be as specific with Keith, but I would say whether you suspect anything or not, I think journaling your children or journaling your child's early years is kind of interesting in and of itself. I mean, it's a special time in their life and it's fun to document it. But if you do something as simple as a dream journal or just a day journal and let them express themselves, I think maybe you would see something that would give you cause to have suspicion. I don't think this would just be out of the blue for you in any way, shape, or form. But I think a journal would be a great way to start. And since I'm a book reader and collector and now co-author, I would suggest looking into like the work of Barbara Lamb, because I mean, just that's what she does, and working with children. And yeah, that would be a great place or resource to start. And I guess on another level is I do belong to sort of a moms and ufology unofficial group. And some of us, you know, we obviously talk about our children all the time, but you know, we've gotten to a point with understanding the phenomenon or how to interact with it that we've realized there's been moments where, you know, like I had a moment where I was seeing these shapes in meditation, and I would be able to ask those shapes to become more defined or clear or closer to me. So just kind of like that realization of knowing that you do have a hand in this phenomenon was kind of like a clicking point for me, to where when I did have my suspicions, it's like I had this moment where I talked to the universe or to the phenomenon, and I said, like, please never scare my son. Like, if you're going to interact, please don't ever scare him. And that was when he was fairly young. I would say just over a year old. And I think I was just having a moment where, you know, I didn't know what to expect. You know, you hear about these things running in your family. And I've tried to dig into like generations before myself. And, you know, you can't help but wonder. So I think maybe it was my way of casting like a safety net in some way, shape, or form, because my son hasn't had, like I said, that scary moment where he's come to me frightened or confused about things. What he has described to me has, like I said, it's more often than not like he's correcting me in some sort of way. And he's honestly like kind of excited about it. You know, he's like, this is what I dreamed last night, or this is what I was told, or things like that. And he's an inventor, he builds stuff. So a lot of it is like, I'll ask him, you know, oh, well, come do something else. And he's like, no, I can't stop until this part is done, because that's the part I can't forget. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's just something a little fun and odd there that I know to just duly note. So
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting. Keith, we got 25 seconds.
Absolutely. I was going to say, called octopus.
mm-hmm.
You know, the race he's dealing with are the Udina.
Oh, well, you'll have to spell that out for me, write it down, and send me an email.
And on that note, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, joined by co-author of a brand new book with Greg Cameron. She is an author now, Nicole Sakach. Really appreciate her jumping in as a special guest. Your questions, put them in capital letters if you're in one of our chat rooms. We'll be back right after this. Spaced Out Radio. I wonder where Nicole went.
I don't know. Maybe she was taken.
That was weird.
Yes,
Your speaker is a little high still. We're still getting some feedback.
That's cute. I haven't touched the thing. How's that work?
No idea.
Well, I've turned it down a little.
You get abducted there, Nicole?
I don't know. I went to close my chat was frozen on the side of the screen, and I thought I went to close it, but I think it just shut off everything. So
Fap said he took you.
Oh, thank you, Fap. Thanks for returning me unharmed. I don't know. I don't like to emphasize anything about it, but there is tech glitchiness that happens.
You guys chat. I'm going to quickly go throw some water on my face. Honestly, I'm tired. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, he's tired when he passes out before the show.
If he falls asleep, it's going to be the Keith and Nikki show for however long. We won't be able to log out of anything, so.
Oh, sure you will. You just shut your computer off, it'll drop it.
Maybe for us, but not for him. YouTube can listen to Dave snore for a few hours.
No, it's funny. I was, it's just the moment you said octopus, it's like, I've got those people already listed, and then it dawned on me. Because the octopus are one raid. There's one raid, which would be the Udina.
He started by calling them the tentacles. He's like the tentacle ones, the tentacle guys. And now
have you ever seen the show Arrival?
Yes.
You remember the tall cephalopods?
Yep.
Those are Udina.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. He hasn't spoken about them in a probably almost a year, because it was sorry, I'm gauging my time, but I would say overlapping and now more dominantly, he talks about this past life when he was a wolf.
Where he was a witch?
Where he was a wolf.
To me, that wouldn't make a lot. That wouldn't be a surprise.
And so, I mean, it's kind of this anthology right now of like wolf adventures and things that he realized, which was a big moment. And I don't mean to like smile. I smile because it was kind of cool. But he came to me, and this has been like the most upset or bothered he's been by telling me anything. But he had to tell me that he knew when he died as a wolf. He knew how he died and how his whole pack died. And he needed to tell me how that happened.
And I mean, that takes us into a whole different realm.
Mm-hmm.
Past lives are a real fascinating little situation. But I really strongly recommend that you get him, either document it for him or get him to document it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we kind of do both. Like, I don't try to do it in like an overbearing way. It's more or less like part of our wake up routine now. It's like if he did have a dream or can remember anything, he talks to me about it, but this could be after like actual bedtime or like a nap time or.
Just make crib notes as it were.
Yeah. But I try to document as much as I can, things like that. So.
Yeah, because what you'll find, and this is why I take all of mine just as, okay, that's the way they are, is because the number of people I've run into where it comes to past lives have been documented by other people recognizing me from another time frame.
Right. And when he was younger, before this wolf past life, like he told me some pretty interesting things about my own great grandfather. So that was a lot. That's really when I honestly started recording as much as I do, is when some things like that hit home and I was able to check them out. You know what I mean? Like, this didn't just come out of nowhere. Like, and that blew my mind.
And that's where the issue with trying to protect your kids from abduction is. Number one, you can't.
All right, guys, we got like 5 seconds. Thank you to Michael ×2, Chefist, Filth, Jason, Laura, Carl, and Kat for the super chats.
She's gone again.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone tuning us in around the world. And remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight, we have R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection with special guest Nicole Sakach, where we take your questions and ask them if they're about UFOs, if they're about extraterrestrials, ET contact, your children. Are they in contact with aliens? We'll find out tonight. Keith, we're going to start off with a question from Nikki here, and she is asking, did any kids you know or did you know when you were little and being taken? Did you try to hide in closets or under beds in kid thought, thinking that would help you hide from the ETs, Keith?
No, because I mean I'm an odd case there, because I ran into my first set of ETs while I was still in. Well, I actually ran into them while I was in utero, but the day I was born, I ran into my first set. So they've just been part of the normal thing.
I can speak to that a little bit and say, yes, with the number of experiencers and parents that I've spoken with when they speak about their own experiences as a child, you know, whether it's ongoing or it's just one memory that they recall, like, you know, you do come across these patterns, and whether it's a closet or under a bed, sometimes it's not necessarily hiding. Sometimes it's waking up in those places. You know what I mean? Like in a strange place and not in
waking up, you get used to.
Yeah. And that's what, you know, you find with a lot of children, you know, as talking about it as adults, you know, when they do go to their grownups, it's like a sleepwalking scenario. Like, oh yeah, you know, kids sleepwalk or kids fall out of their bed, you know, things like that. So
yeah, when you talk about waking up, I did that quite a lot. And it was funny because I'd wake up in the wrong bed. I was in a room, like I had four brothers, and we all slept in the same room, in one double bunk and one triple bunk. Right. Yeah. And it was weird because I'd end up in the wrong bed.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the classic, you hear about people waking up and their clothes are inside out or backwards, or like both the legs are in one pant, you know, leg.
Yeah, I swear sometimes they have no clue how to get these clothes back on.
Mm-hmm. And I think she was asking if maybe you'd encountered other children while you were taken. Like I have come across a few accounts where people find themselves later in life and they can correlate their abductions.
Oh,
and
yeah, I ran into
a
number of children
where people were returned in other people's clothes.
Yeah. So, just one thing, Keith. When it bleeds over, we can't hear what you're saying when Nicole is speaking. So go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, I think what was I saying? Oh, there's accounts where people find themselves older in life and recall with other experiencers that they have met in their experiencers as children. And sometimes children or adults even find themselves returned in not their clothing, somebody else's clothing. So you come across these cases. I mean, I know you can dig on your own in, you know, places like MUFON, or I'm sure you can ask researchers like Preston Dennett or Grant and Preston both seemed like you mentioned one oddity and they've come across like 10 cases that they could cite where it's so similar. So it's fascinating.
All right, let's get to another question. Greg Moyes is asking, Keith, are you friends with any Arborians? What are they like?
Actually, and the answer to the question is yes. And for the most part, they're actually really friendly individuals. They are actually literally how I get a lot of my communication lines. Like, instead of watching newspaper, I talk to these guys because they're connected throughout the planet. Right. But they are, on the whole, very gentle. Very gentle, very patient individuals. But I'll tell you, trying to get them to say anything can take a month of Sundays.
Why are they difficult?
Unlike humans are very fast-paced, very skittish. Right. Arborians, on the whole, are very laid back and they're just not in a hurry.
What do they look like?
In simplest terms, trees, ferns, flowers. Okay. Now, not every tree is an Arborian. Okay. And not every fern is one. Okay.
Weird. Very weird.
If you think of it in terms of, if we take a look at it from the Tolkien world, treants are actually, well, what they are is they are the Arborians.
I am Groot.
I guess so.
Well, yeah.
I am Groot.
They don't grow that fast.
For 5 more minutes.
All right, let's get to another question. Mennonite Abe is asking, have either of you had any ghost activity in addition to alien activity? Is there a connection?
Well, the first answer would be absolutely. We've got a resident ghost. It's a pain in the neck on occasion. But the only connection that I found between them, because some ghosts are human or were human, some are different races. And that is my call.
Keith will have to take that because he still is working on shift. Nicole, have you ever had anything like that happen?
I don't like making it sound so scary. I think ghost activity sounds like you're being haunted. I have had moments throughout my life as a child and as an adult where I believe I've been visited by family members' spirits. Now, have I seen the ghost of my grandma? No. But this, an overwhelming presence. And I think once you recognize it as such, I think that's something that's very special, and I do have one, I call it one of my scary, high strangeness moments. And it involved a Ouija board and playing around with it and talking with things. And yeah, I mean, it spooked us at the moment, or spooked me, but it was nothing terrifying. And yes, I do think there's a level of how this is all connected, and you start seeing similarities when you start listening to testimony from this paranormal world. You see the likenesses in the ufology stories as well. Just when it comes to like channeling stories and out-of-body experiences being so paralleled with abduction scenarios or contact tesestimony. And yeah, it's fascinating to me. So
I completely agree. I think that there are a lot of coincidences that happen between the paranormal and the ufological. I know for me personally, my scenario when I started awakening into this entire field, it all started very paranormally. And then as I started to open up, that's when more started coming through, like the UFOs and the extraterrestrials. This is why I always tell our audience, if you're going to follow people who are investigating the entire phenomena. I always brag about your boss, Grant Cameron, because a lot of people will say, well, there goes Grant again on one of his tangents or on one of his goose chases, but the one thing Grant does, along with people like David Weatherly or Timothy Renner or people of that ilk, is they follow the path until that path becomes a dead end. And I don't think we do that enough in this field, because the big name researchers who are not out there for fame, they're not out there for fortune, they're actually out there trying to find proper answers to these phenomena. They are the ones who are looking for those connections that seem to be there, because people who are experiencing the high strangeness always tend to, Nicole, seem to have ghostly encounters, cryptid encounters, as well as UFO and alien encounters as well. It's always running the gamut of 2 of the 3, maybe 3 of the 3, not just one. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I have definitely noticed that. But I think it's something that your new person into this community doesn't really realize yet, or realize about themselves, perhaps. Like, it was 25 years between my first UFO sighting and my second UFO sighting. And in between that, I had an out-of-body experience and that Ouija board experience as well. And it took probably 15 years for those, the UFO stuff, the paranormal stuff, and the out-of-body experience. It took years for those 3 things to click for myself. And I experienced it, but, you eventually find your way through it. And I think that's why, like you mentioned, Grant, I think it's people that have the diligence to not only dive into these topics, but stick with them longer than a month. You know what I mean? Like, Grant's invested so many decades into some facets of his research that, I can only hope that my research can last that long and go as far, because like you said, until you come up against that dead end, then you're still on the search. And we know so often we wind up with more questions instead of any answers. So until you run out of questions to chase down, then you got to keep going. Even if you have to back burner it for a while, you got to keep going.
You definitely have to keep it going, because that's the only way that you're going to lead. And this is why, like I said, whether it's Grant or whether it's David Weatherly, Timothy Renner, Joshua Cutchin, names that I mention quite often on this show, you have to be able to chase those paths. As I've stated to our listeners for years, the minute you go down the rabbit hole in this field, it's like you open that door. And behind that door, there is 10 more doors. And behind each of those 10 doors, when you open the door, there's 10 doors each behind those 10 doors. Right. And it keeps going and going and going. And this is why when I hear people insulting people like Grant, or people insulting others who are taking those paths to see where they go, they have no clue or understanding that those paths have to come to an end one way or another. This is why, if you look at Grant, who's a perfect example of this, this is why he goes off on consciousness, or another path of people who claim to fly the ships, or what does music have to do with ufology, or what does any type of psilocybins have to do with, or what's the word I'm looking for? Any type of psychedelic drug have to do with contact? What do family lineage have to do with contact? These are all different lanes, and there's hundreds of them. Yeah. Hundreds of lanes. And people like Grant are only at maybe 20, 30 lanes.
Right. I know. And that's why, I joke with Grant, it's like he has to have a team of assistants or, helpers along. I did this for so long, all alone by myself, just as like my hobby or my closeted addiction, whatever you want to call it, and once I joined the social media side of this and really took that step forward and into, I'm going to put my voice to this, it's just amazing because it is that double-edged sword. You get the negativity for what you want to look into because you actually start caring about, other people that you're interacting with and their opinions. But I really can't see how anybody can do it alone anymore these days and not have at least a group of people to use as like a sounding board. You do end up with this community inside a community that you end up trusting, and you find the like-minded people. And that was one thing that led me to Grant. A lot of people that I kind of trusted from this nuts and bolts world had that opinion of Grant. They were like, well, he used to be all about presidents and now he's gone off the deep end. And to me, they always said they valued my opinion because I was an experiencer, but it was fine as long as I kept it to nuts and bolts and just wondered blindly about my experience, and so as soon as I knew that about Grant, I was like, I have to find out more about him. He was the first researcher I found who, had gone from this nuts and bolts side into this consciousness, it's all connected side. And why can't you? I mean, you can only build on research from there. After doing that, I felt like this whole other dimension of research had opened up to me, and I kicked myself in the butt for being so closed-minded to it for so long. So
Yeah, and that's the big thing is, you get these people out there in UFO land who get so offended that people start going down all of these different paths and trying these different avenues to try and find answers. Yet I think it's brilliance. I think it's absolute brilliance that somebody has the testicular fortitude, shall we say, all right, to move the ball forward. Because hey, if it's a dead end, guess what? That's perfect. Because now you can cross that off, right?
I know we don't get to cross off enough, honestly.
No, but everybody is so focused. Government, military. All right. Nobody is looking for the avenues. And this is exactly what the government people are doing. They are looking at all the avenues. What happens with contact? Why are people like Samantha Mowat existing or R Keith Andrews existing? Why out of nowhere does a 38-year-old chubby gray-haired white guy, all of a sudden get taken? I don't know who that is, but I think it might be someone that I know. All right. I mean, this is what happens out there,
right?
When we try and figure out these answers, because none of this makes sense. That's the only correct answer. None of it makes sense. It doesn't matter whether you're Dr. Eric Davis or you're John Alexander or you're R. Keith Andrews or you're Science Bob McGuire or you're Samantha Mowat or you're Chris Bledsoe or anybody. They are all in it together trying to figure out what is going on. And we can't close these different angles towards any sort of ET contact while this continues on. I mean, just like we were talking in the first half hour about children. I mean, is my son a contactee? I know he's been taken twice. I know he hasn't been taken since because we were told that they weren't taking him anymore. And you got to go with that. Will it happen again? We don't know. As of right now, my son doesn't draw little gray guys. He doesn't draw little monsters. He doesn't, and he's much like your boy, a couple of years older than your boy, but he doesn't do those things that we would suspect.
Right.
So I mean,
I've had one obvious drawing, and it was and you know how little kids can't even really draw bodies correctly. You know what I mean? Like a person just might have hands sticking out their sides, So a lot of this is interpretive in itself, but he drew a triangle and it had the swirly. He even changed the color. There was a swirl coming down from the triangle, and there was a person in it.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a person, but it's a little kid drawing a person. So, but yeah, that's what he drew. And I, of course, was like, oh my God. And just, there wasn't even a discussion along with it. He told me this little one's going up to a bigger one. And the bigger one was so big, it didn't even fit on the page that he was drawing. There was just parts of it. That's how he said the bigger one was that big. And that's where he left it. And so it's in the stash and in the collection. And yeah.
The only thing weird my little boy did, it was a few years ago, where all of a sudden he comes up to me and he goes, Dad, can you tell me what a Donkleosteus is? And I'm like, I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Right.
He was like just turned 5. And apparently it was one of the predecessors to Megalodon. Right. And I'm like, okay. But
that's
no,
common knowledge right there. Yeah.
But on the flip side, I know my son sees things. We've caught him.
Yeah.
We've caught him and the dog staring at a shadow type being in the doorway. Him and I had that scenario happen a couple of years ago where I was getting him ready for bed, and he was having a bedtime snack, and all of a sudden we watched these like captain's bars go through my kitchen. These giant captain's bars, they're about 18 inches each of barred light, and then all of a sudden, like 2 minutes later, he announces that looks at me and starts bawling his eyes out and says, Dad, you're gonna die soon. I don't want you to die.
Oh yeah, you've told me.
Yeah, that one still gives me a little bit of the creeps.
Yeah. And I have William described seeing some lights, and he had come to me, and I happened to have like my phone right there with me, so I just flipped it to like record what he was saying, and he was describing orbs coming down to me and the different colors that they were. So I was glad that I was able to record, him describing it himself. So that was kind of special. But what really, the one that also really got me was, it was one of his inventions, and he had taken apart so many things to like make this. He took apart a vacuum cleaner and an old coffee maker, coffee pot combo thing that I had, and had all these tubes and different chambers connected to each other. And he even made me fill parts of it up with water for him. And then finally, when it was mostly done, because a lot of things stay in a prototype phase for a long time, he started telling me, he was like, over here is where you put in the DNA, and it follows through here, and this is where it is synced, and then it gets put into the cells that it's going to create. And he went through each chamber, and he was describing to me like a maturation growing chamber. And I was just floored. And he was 4 years old.
My goodness. Yeah, but your son's a genius.
I don't know. Just
he is
soon
a
as you say
genius.
that, he's going to be the biggest dumb dummy that's ever existed.
I highly doubt that. There's a lot of people that we know who are scientists who are going to tell you different.
Smart son, but he's equally.
Nicole Sakach, R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection with R Keith continues on Spaced Out Radio with Hour 2 next. We'll take your questions as well, so put them in capital letters if you're in the chat room or on Twitter. We'd appreciate that. We'll be back right after this.
Woo!
Oh,
You awake yet?
almost. Almost.
Come on, pup.
Well, Keith is still busy, so we're going to remove him for the time being.
I'm letting my dog out this time.
Okay, I got your mic on. My mic's on. I'm letting my dogs out this time. I'll be right back.
Okay, YouTube, I just had a serious scare. I let my dog out my front door, and I have a big open cemetery, pitch black next to me, no neighbors. And my dog runs out in the yard, and like 3 feet away from me, I hear something go. And I froze like this, and I turned, and I could see the silhouette of 2 deer ears and a profile of this deer. And there was like 5 of them, and they all went like to each other and then ran off. Like, oh my God. Definitely don't have aliens tonight unless it's a pack of or a herd of deer. So we'll ask R Keith if that can be a screen image and how often it's used. So, oh, too funny. I'm just glad I didn't scream like a girl. It was a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie. But and in hindsight, I was glad my dog did not see or hear them. He's like the biggest dumb dog ever, because yeah, he would have chased them and been gone. So Fap, that was not you in the bushes.
All right, Keith, are you back? Yeah, he's back. Well,
I'll go.
Okay, YouTube, that was my
4.
little story for you. I'm not even gonna tell
5.
them.
Okay.
All right, that's fine. Hold on, Keith is not done. All right, Drake C, how are you? Jesse Peak, good to have you here. Oh, Hexstar, Oumuamua, Trinitro, how are you? Philip Bacon. No, Philip Baca, pardon me. What the hell was that? Oh,
I have an inside joke with YouTube now.
Perfect. I'll just go back on the replay and find it.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Gonna be that way. Oob, Joe's Maine, you've got aliens. And I think I'm finally starting to wake up.
It was a female. Yeah.
Keith, are you back?
All right, he's back.
His phone could be thrown over my shoulder. That's just likely to break it.
Evil Carl says he is Chad Smith.
Hi, Chad.
Yes. Chad Smith is the only not Chad Smith here. All right, we got 20 seconds here. A big thank you to Vinster, Ozzy, Steve, Apollo, Michael, ×2, Chefist, Dirty Filth, Jason, Laura, Carl, and Kat for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And here we go, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this planet we call Earth. And we want to remind you that you can tune us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Terrassus. Terrassus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith comes in once a month near the beginning to discuss everything weird, strange with extraterrestrials and UFOs. Now, of course, we are joined by Nicole Sakach, co-author of Grant Cameron's new book and a great researcher in her own. She's just not a cook anymore, people. She's got a new title, and we love her for it. Hey, guys, welcome back.
Great to be back. I missed you, Keith, by the way.
Oh, my apologies. One of the drawbacks of my actual job.
No, I meant just in the last month or two. I've missed you. And in the last 5 minutes.
All right. Let's get to a question from Vinny. R. Keith, have you ever heard about the Sun Simulator?
I've heard about it. You know, there's a neat little concept out that the whole thing is a hologram and that we're just this incredible computer program, which is a wonderful thought, made for an excellent movie, and is about as full of holes as it can get. I also heard tell at one point of people saying that we were actually living inside a Dyson sphere.
I've heard this interesting theory, and Dave, maybe you can help me with it a little bit, where there's some technique that if you're looking at the sun but not really looking at the sun, there's a photographic technique where you can see this. They call them sun ships, I believe, to where it looks like you can see orbs or ships that are around the sun.
It wouldn't be surprising. There's a planet inside the sun's photosphere called Vulcan.
Ah,
yes.
yes.
And there's an entire interstellar fleet inside the sun's corona.
How do they not burn up?
And they got much better air conditioners than we got.
I would assume that. Jennifer is asking, R Keith, hello. Is it sometimes hard to tell a hybrid from a human?
For who? I'm sorry. For me, they stand out pretty solidly. For most people, yeah, it's very hard. And contrary to some people's opinion, most hybrids don't even have a clue they are one. It's very much like most people that are adopted have no clue they were adopted.
I have heard that there is a hybrid / alien detector. I have not been able to verify that its use is true or that it is an actual thing, but I've come up across it a couple times now, and
technically the answer would be yes. If you can track the subquantum biomagnetic electric flux on an individual and compare it to a phenomenal database, you'd be able to spot hybrids via some sort of a detector.
Well, this was supposedly being used in the 80s and probably the 90s. And if you believe the line, that it's probably still in use today. So I'm still digging. I'll keep everybody updated on that one.
All right, let's move on here to the next question. Weird one from Greg. Do the aquatic elephant race have a leader? How do they choose them?
Well, first of all, it's a matriarch, and how they choose them is it's very similar to the way the elephants do it. You know, it really does boil down to the largest of them, and the largest and wisest. It's not always the biggest, but they do it primarily on an intellectual battlefield. Okay, yeah, I know that sounds a little odd. But they actually go after the brighter ones, but they're a very passive race anyway, so. But yeah, they're very much a matriarchal society.
Elephant race, Nicole. Elephant race.
I just like the matriarchal side. That's yay, elephant race.
Evil Carl is asking, I heard Earth had 2 moons. One got destroyed. Do you know anything about this, Keith?
Well, in the time I've been here, I've only seen the one. I know that sounds a little odd, but you got to remember, I've got memories that date back to the construction of the planet.
It is strange. It is
My
strange.
life's always been strange, though, Dave.
This is true. This is true.
I can't cite the exact study, but I know there has been like models and renditions of like the history of our solar system. And a few of them have encompassed like even like Earth 1. And there were multiple objects around like Earth 1, and there were collisions. And, you know, there's a possibility that our moon now is like a chunk from the old Earth. And, you know, there are some science models out there that theorize that there were other bodies in orbit around our Earth at certain phases in the solar system development. So
and I won't argue the theories because I got nothing to work with. Right. I will tell you that this is not the first time that mankind has made it into outer space.
That's interesting to hear.
I immediately like thought, well, duh, the Atlanteans, but I don't know why I thought that.
Well, the Atlanteans didn't come from Earth to start with. But the ones that are a dead giveaway are the Mobians, who actually left Earth.
Where are they now?
On Mobius.
Where's Mobius?
Mobius is actually a planet that, and ironically enough, NASA knows about it. But Mobius is a planet roughly the same size as Earth, on the exact same orbital path, 180 degrees across the sun. So Earth will never see Mobius.
Do they come back and visit?
Yes.
Do we go there? Like that you said NASA knows about Mobius. Do we go there?
NASA knows about them. NASA keeps trying to deny a lot of things that NASA knows about. But do I know for certain whether they go? I know that Mobius does have visitors over there. Whether it's NASA that goes or not, I have no way of telling you.
Right. What kind of technology do they have or use? Do they come via ship or do they portal jump or?
No, they do come via ship, but it's their ability to manipulate what humans call 0-point energy that makes them dangerous. Except they're extremely peace loving. They do not have war. They do not have disease. They don't have jealousy or greed.
Is that why they left Earth? Were they like a breakaway civilization?
In a manner of speaking, they made a mistake. Okay. They literally had, at the time, they had 10 billion people on this planet. And they made a miscalculation. Their civilization almost died overnight because of one minor miscalculation. Well, pretty major miscalculation. And the remainder of them, all but about 10,000 of them left Earth altogether and went over and moved on to Mobius.
And they haven't repeated the same mistake now that they're Mobians and not Earthlings?
Well, they corrected the problem here. This is why I tell people humans can actually get along. It is possible. It's been done before. But no, the Mobians took their civilization as it was. They didn't create the same mistake, because the mistake they made, the biggest mistake they made, was they didn't think through one little thing. And it's a long story to get to it, but the thing they didn't do was they never thought about the consequences. They had their entire civilization built on physical manifestation and sustained by psychic energy. Well, the idea came up, and we never did figure out who actually came up with the idea, whether it was male, female, child, what have you, to stop everybody's heart at the same time just to see what would happen. Really bad thought. Never thought it through. So they did it, and they literally killed off half the population in a heartbeat.
Get you every time. Kira is asking, can you please describe characteristics of hybrids?
Well, that's going to be a very issue. It depends on what they are hybridized from. But the biggest thing, one of the most common phenomenon, is they will not mesh with modern society very well. Like there will be something distinctly different about their behavioral pattern, not in a negative way. Like we're not talking sociopathic difference, right? But there will be major differences in the way they look at the world that will not be compatible with the environment or the circumstances under which they grew up.
Ufologist is asking, is Vulcan full of plasma beings, or how does it work?
Vulcan is a crystalline race. They are not green men with green blood, or pointy ears and green blood. Vulcans are a crystalline race.
All right. Jesse is asking, are you familiar, Keith, with Cryptoterrestrials? Be like like a cryptid that's not from here.
They do exist. There's no question there. Cryptids basically boil down to something that doesn't fit the standard evolutionary path of a given planet. And virtually every planet has them.
That it? Done?
I've been watching the reboot of Masters of the Universe, and you look through some of the characters in that, and you know that that's set like in its own like different planet and universe, and you're like, whoa, there's a dog man. Whoa, there's a bunny man. Whoa, there's a... It's great.
Yeah, I never liked that cartoon.
It's so weird. That's why it's great.
Still bugs me.
Honestly. See, I gave up on modern television for the most part. I haven't actually had television itself in probably 5 years now.
Right. This is streaming on Netflix now. It's a reboot from my childhood, so I have to, watch it. And it's weird.
All right. Vinny is asking, are ghosts or demons related to aliens?
Well, some aliens become ghosts, and demons, or more to the point, demons are another race altogether. And because they are not from Earth, they qualify very clearly as alien. But they are not what people are taught to believe.
I've come across quite a few stories too, where in like some seance circles where they're speaking with spirit, and it's an ET spirit. Like, they do pass away. They have a life cycle. They've moved into the spirit world. So that blew my mind when I first came across those stories.
Well, the thing is, humans, whether you're good or bad, plants, animals, aliens, elementals, different energy patterns, all end up going to the same place when they die.
Mm-hmm.
All of them do.
Fascinating.
Which makes for a rather entertaining time over there.
My favorite to follow right now is Dr. Shirley Ryan, and she channels a being who is in spirit, whose name is Thanes. And Thanes is passed on into the spirit world, and Shirley channels. So it's wonderful. I love following along with their knowledge and stories. So
surely you can't be serious.
Surely I am.
Nikki is asking, Keith, do you have memories of past lives of being an extraterrestrial?
Yes. I've got memories that date back literally before this universe was born.
Wow.
Okay. I remember, that goes back a bit. See, understanding that I take a look at the Big Bang Theory, I refer that as a flip, because it has happened more often than you care to count. But if we go back half a dozen flips, right? I remember being on a planet with herds of animals that I'm working on getting the description together for them. But the reason I haven't included them in Races of the Worlds is because they are not in existence anymore. But no, I do remember being on other planets in other forms. I mean, one of the most recent ones was actually before Earth was born. It was built. And that was I was an information handler for the Zerziks. I was the Zerziks and handled the information flow. And basically I worked in a mailroom.
Where the
Zerziks, not necessarily the most exciting place to work.
Did they build the Earth? I love it. You've said that before when the Earth was built, and I automatically think of the planet builders from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the character named Slarty Bartfest. So is there a Slarty Bartfest out there that designed the coastline of the UK while they were building our planet?
No, the coastline of the UK is quite frankly an evolutionary problem of the current Caboran that we're living on. So but the answer to your question is no, the Zerziks did not build Earth.
So who did? Who built it?
Well, it was a group of spirits. It was actually a pair of spirits that built it.
Oh.
The ones that ended up building the original race that was here, which would be the Elfid, were the spirits that built the Earth in the first place.
All right, we got 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. R Keith Andrews and special guest Nicole Sakach here tonight for the ET Connection. Cat Chaser is asking, are aliens and Bigfoot connected, Keith?
Only in a manner of speaking. The Bigfoot itself came from here. The Wara, which looks very similar to the Bigfoot, is an off-worlder. It is an alien, and a whole lot more aggressive than what Bigfoot is. But that's about where the connection ends.
All right. Jennifer is asking, in some stories from different cultures, there are reports of two suns seen together in the sky. What's your thoughts, Keith?
Well, bearing in mind that all people that are living here now, or for that matter, that settled here, didn't come from this world. Many of these comments, many of these stories likely come from their planet, because Earth itself only has the one sun. It's in everything I've ever seen leaves Earth itself as a singular star, not a binary star where one of them faded. Because had we had two suns and one of them went missing, it would have wiped life out on the planet entirely.
They're so negative. So negative. All right, let's burn through a couple more here. Apollo is asking, which species is the most similar to us?
The Mobians. Sorry, they came from Earth. They went to Mobius. They will pass for humans quite readily because, frankly, they're built exactly from a physiological standpoint. They're built exactly the same way. But there's a number of races that can pass for humans, but those are the most similar.
What's the next similar? Who are the other ones that can pass?
Well, the Nordics can pass. The Nordics tend to be a little taller, a little broader, but they can pass for humans without any real problem. And this is why they're trained to work the way they are.
All right.
Of course, then if you actually look at the Venusians are very similar in configuration. Their physiology is a whole different ballgame. But from appearance standpoint, they look very similar. Orions look similar, but they're the wrong color. And rest assured, we're not talking brown.
All right. Final question here. So we got about just over 90 seconds. Lazarus is asking, what do you think about the Black Knight satellite?
Well, I'm going to have to get clarification.
Well, basically, there's this big piece of space debris that many people out there have nicknamed the Black Knight, believing that it's an alien satellite that roams around Earth and patrols and sets off alien signals.
Well, it's a cute thought. I have no question there are alien satellites out, but mankind ain't going to see them.
I think the Black Knight is a space blankie. It's the cover that blew off the thing that they said it did. I got excited. I wanted it to be an alien satellite, but from what I dug into and saw and found out and followed, that's one of those dead ends, Dave, that we talked about. They happened so few and far between. Like, that was one I felt satisfied with closing the book on, honestly. Like, I was I'm good with that one. Yeah,
me too. I believe it is a piece of space debris that comes from Earth as well. And I don't believe that it is anything alien or supernatural or extraterrestrial or interdimensional or anything like that. So sorry to be the bearers of bad news. I do apologize with that. Evil Carl, we'll have to wait for your question when we come back from the break at the bottom of the hour. The ET Connection with R Keith Andrews and Nicole Sakach happens right after this. We bring in R Keith once a month to break down everything woo as we ride the train towards the stars and see where it turns up. And your questions are always welcome here on Spaced Out Radio. We continue with the ET Connection. The lovely and talented Nicole Sakach. She's an author now, and Nicole's joined by the man, the myth, and the legend, R Keith Andrews. I'm so excited. Pascal just entered the chat room.
Pascal. My shoulder feels better today.
Thank you again, Carl, for that awesome super chat. And Pascal, thank you for the super chat. Really do appreciate that. All right. I am way back in the chat room right now, guys, because I'm holding for questions here for Keith. Let's see here. See where we are. Bonjour, Pascal. Comment ça va? See if I miss any. Blackbird Immaculate, how you doing? Good to see you. Diecast and Racing, good to have you back. And Dirty Filth, you're looking extra dirty tonight. And who else do we have here? And Nicole's dog. Yes. Kira Pascal is my special friend, also known as Federmaus.
Were you talking to my dog?
Yes.
I'm muting him now. Sorry.
That's okay. I like him. Grandmaster, what's happening? Welcome back. Derek Doherty, welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Show. And man, am I way behind here? Holy cow.
Oops.
Mark Sanchez, thanks for coming on in. I saw that question, Evil Carl. Bad, Evil Carl. Bad. Hi, Shar. Stetson John, how are you? I'll get you that link right now, Stetson John. Dave is not very awake tonight. So if you haven't heard, literally, I fell asleep in my chair, which I never do in show prep. And I know it was after 8 o'clock Pacific, I fell asleep. And I literally woke up with 3 minutes to go before we go to air. And I was apparently tired. And so I've been trying to wake up ever since.
We can no longer say it never happens, just it seldom happens.
Oh, my goodness.
But we'll get through it.
Yeah, we will. We're having a good show.
Usually I don't get caught up in that many calls at the end of the show of the night anymore.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. What's up with that? What's up with that? What's up with that? Well, hi, Nicole Sakach. Let's see how long it takes her to turn her mute button off.
Done.
That wasn't long.
I'm getting. Hey, this is my third show today. I'm just clued into that.
You are Radio Gaga today.
This is my first Grand Slam. First time I've done 3 in one day.
Oh, hold on. Gail is messaging me.
Hi, Gail.
She goes, just read Tara's post with the 2 dads. You know, you have an open door here to speak to me anytime. Don't waste it. I know, Captain Shirk. You kick my ass about that all the time. I love you, Captain Shirk. I love Captain Shirk. She's awesome. Yeah, good old Shirky Poodles. Shirky Poodles. It's her own private dog breed, Shirky Poodles.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want one.
Uh-huh.
I added more beans to my pet family yesterday.
What did you get?
Well, The inventor won 2 goldfish last night at our town fair.
Nice. I want to get back into having reptiles. I really, really want a chameleon.
Ooh.
I love reptiles. Frogs. I'd like to get some frogs in here.
I had tadpoles last year. Do you remember? I woke up and after some thunderstorm, my neighbor's pool was full of like millions of them. And
hold on.
I scooped some.
Hold on. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Get your horns up as we get ready to kick off the second half of the show. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, where Keith comes in once a month to answer all of your extraterrestrial questions. And we're also joined by Nicole Sakach, research assistant for Grant Cameron and co-author of his brand new book. And let's go to Evil Carl right off the bat here, Keith, as he is asking, do the elf aliens look human or more like aliens?
Well, human in as much as they're bipedal. But for the most part, they basically, if you watch Lord of the Rings, like The Hobbit, that sort of thing, you'll find what on a very basic level, you'll find what the elves look like. What the elfin race looks like.
Vulcans.
They look like
essentially, yes.
Star Trek Vulcans, not the real ones.
Basically, yes. Not the real Vulcans, but yeah. Except
I'm learning, Keith. I take these notes as we have our little Friday night chats, and I'm learning.
Well, look at you. Look at you. I didn't know until recently that Nicole has a notebook on everybody she's on the air with. She has her own library of notes. I mean, how many diaries have you gone through in your life?
I don't know. More than 5.
Yeah, I can see that. YJ, who's in your area, Keith, of the Okanagan, are you a proponent of the Anunnaki texts as written by Zecharia Sitchin?
Well, I know I've heard of Zecharia Sitchin, but not having looked at the Anunnaki texts, I cannot comment on that.
All right.
I think it's a great place to jump in with ufology and stuff outside of nuts and bolts history. I think it's a good place to jump in and expand.
All right. Hexstar is asking, what is the true age of the Sphinx and who built it, Keith?
Well, number one, as far as I understand it, given that the pyramids are about 5,000 years old, that puts the Sphinx about 15 to 20,000 years old.
It's a pretty hard rock.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think AC/DC sung about that.
As far as who exactly built it, that I'm not entirely certain of. I know the Mobians didn't build it because they were gone before it got here.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's move on to another question here as we are scrolling on down. Vinny is asking, are reptilian shapeshifters real?
From everything I've seen, no. Reptilians have, some of the reptilian races have some of the reptilian races have technology that will that creates a hologram, but they themselves are not shapeshifters. And if you get into things like the Drakes or Zerzazian, the Tormenon, basically you're looking at reptilians that are too proud to change their shape to accommodate some other race. Especially if you talk to the Drakes, according to them, they've got the perfect image anyway, and you guys should all be envious of them.
Could be. Could very well be. All right. Greg is asking, why are the inner Earth civilizations hiding? Makes me nervous of their intentions.
The nervousness of their intentions, I cannot do anything about. If any one of the races, of the inner Earth races, any of the major inner Earth races were to desire to do something really negative towards the human race would be dead before it knew they were attacking. If you think about it, the Elfid race has access to what humans call true magic. The Dwarvish race can drop a city out from underneath you and you won't even see it happening. They call them sinkholes right now. But we're talking about the capacity to drop targeted sinkholes, where they can pick a building out of the middle of the city and leave that building standing and drop everything around it. And we're not talking about just turning it into rubble. We're talking about dropping it into a hole in the ground. As for why they went underground, it's because of the fact there weren't many of them left to start with, not after the Great War. So they left the humans on above because humans adapted faster. Net result, mankind took over the surface and became the caretakers. But as they keep telling me, humans are so afraid of each other in their simple skin colors. These guys don't come up because humans kill and shoot first and go where you friendly second.
That's just Texas.
Has a bad habit of causing problems.
True. All
I
right.
agree with that. Yeah. I think humans are the scary ones, honestly, in a lot of cases.
Well, they're raised to be fear-based.
Of course we are. Jennifer is asking, are hybrid healers special, or do they have special powers? Hybrid healers.
Depending entirely on what they're hybridized from. But they certainly have different skills. Some of them do have advanced abilities that many humans would chalk up to Reiki or the like. Okay. But they are taught the hybrid healers, if you're dealing with more along the metaphysical side, usually what you'll find is that they work on the subquantum levels and thereby have learned how to help humans accelerate, or for that matter, other races. But it's done by a biometric, what's the word I'm looking for? It basically boils down to a pulse to accelerate the healing factor in the given body.
All right. I don't like this question from Evil Carl. He says, sorry, Dave. Are there any humanoid shark alien beings, Keith? Not a nice question at all.
The ironic part of it is, if you think of an animal, the odds are there is an alien counterpart to it somewhere. Okay. But if he's referring to, there was a show out called Shark Boy and Lava Girl. And that is not what you're looking at. There are underwater races that are not off-world. They're ancient races that are from that genus.
Jennifer is asking, any connection between hybrid agendas and human cloning claims put forth by certain individuals who claim to be clones, like super soldiers, celebrities, etc.?
Well, we can take the hybrid agenda thing and essentially throw it out the window. As far as human clones and the people claiming to be human clones from, from the super soldier programs and what have you. The only drawback to that to those claims is, from what I've seen, the super soldier programs, you start spreading word that you're out there, and they have a tendency of terminating you. It's not like they want that program to be publicly acknowledged.
By the way, Evil Carl says, I swear every time I look at Keith's window, I keep seeing shapes and shadows. So strange. Maybe it's just me.
No, I've got a ghost. I've got a number of spirits that live here.
Now I have to start watching the window.
Mm-hmm. I just
That's just plain normal.
I just watch Keith's sideburns because those are incredible. They are growing as we speak right now. All right. Hexstar is asking, what is the purpose of the hexagon circulating on the North Pole of Saturn?
I would be inclined to say, being a hexagonal form, you're looking at data collection. See, when you're dealing with those kinds of forms, you're pulling in information from 3 different time frames at the same time.
Right.
Okay. It's a triphasic collector. And they just simply draw the information in on a number of different levels, and then bounce it off to whoever's operating it. Now, usually that happens to be Radio Command, which is the control center that is the communication center for the consortium.
Nicole, comment?
YouTube crowd comment. It's a Mobian, not a Nubian.
Oh, that's terrible. It's terrible. Big J is asking, Keith, what do you know about Phobos?
I haven't looked into it much. I do know, my understanding of Phobos itself is it's an asteroid. But that being said, I don't have a lot to work with.
Linda is asking, Keith, what do you think was here on Earth first? Was it Bigfoot or humans?
Well, Bigfoot was definitely here before the humans were. You know, that's just a black and white for me. They weren't the first ones here, but they were here before humans.
What's your thoughts, Nicole?
Bigfoot seems to be timeless. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with the probably here before humans side. Seems like that. Seems like they know enough to be scared of us, or want to stay away from us. So I would say they saw us come into being, you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
I can't escape the man with the big feet. Like, you know, that's been one side of this world of ufology that I've tried to blow off before. And nope, Bigfoot keeps coming back.
Yeah, good luck just ignoring that. You know, you can try the childhood thing, right? They don't exist because you can't see me.
Is that like it with most cryptids, though?
In my opinion, in a lot of cases, yes. But I like the way I heard it put one day. Right? Those that believe don't require proof. And those that don't believe, there's no proof possible.
Okay.
This is why I keep telling people that, you know, people have asked me before, you know, why believe? And it's like, I'm not the one to try and convince you. I believe what I believe because I don't have a lot of options.
All right. Why don't you have options?
Basically, because I keep getting thrown back into the maelstrom.
Well, you're a good letter carrier. That's a good union position. Get a pension. You get, 4 weeks holidays.
Yeah. And with my leg, can you really picture me doing that much walking?
We're going to get you a scooter. We're going to get the union to get you a scooter.
Yeah.
I'm in love with scooters right now. I'm so glad I have one.
All right. Dirty Filth is asking, Nicole, do you carry around small notebooks and multiple pens?
I do. 3 pens. This is
Yeah,
Keith's,
this is
Keith's notebook. And then just, for the randomness of every day, little, big. And I do have a pocket size one as well, but it's in with my wallet and stuff, so I can always leave with it.
I'm actually pleased to see that you've got the paperback side.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just habit. I mean, I have a lot of stuff on my PC too, but I'm old school. I handwrite a lot of things and then transfer it into notes properly.
Do you need a pen?
My car is full of pens.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. I only use the Uniball 207.
Right.
That's it. It's the only pen I use. Even at my daytime job, even at my job, I know when somebody has stolen my pen because I'm the only one there who uses the Uniball 207. And I go ballistic when that happens. Big J is asking, Keith, do you believe God is an AI theory?
No, God is a very, very real entity. The AI theory is an intriguing thought process, but it doesn't hold a lot of water, and people better pray they never get true AI. Not based on the way humans build things. There are intelligent machines, don't get me wrong, but God itself has nothing to do with that. Well, that's not entirely correct. If you go with the belief that God created everything, then he's got everything to do with it. But he himself is not an AI.
All right. Apollo 11 is asking, Nicole, so do you send out a community notice when you stream live like Dave?
I haven't yet. It's been so spontaneous and it's new for me that I need to get my act together a little bit and promote when the live is going to happen. But I'll try, Apollo. I'll try. But if you subscribe, you get reminders or notifications anytime I do. So, and I will always share it to my Facebook page as soon as it happens. So
we should remind our audience that you can sign up and hit subscribe on Nicole Sakach's YouTube channel, as well as R Keith Andrews as well. 509 is asking, where are the archangels, cherubim, right now at when will they be returning?
Well, that's the funny part. The angelists right now are in their own home for the most part, although they do come here periodically to keep an eye on things. But what he's referring to, I suspect he's referring to the great return of the mass reemergence. And he's going to be really unhappy about the fact they're not scheduled for it. Mankind is supposed to be turning themselves around. Hopefully mankind gets it right this time, but, we are talking mankind.
Michael is asking, is there such thing as a dogman alien? And if there is, can they be counted as werewolves?
I'm not certain I'd call the dogman werewolves, but do werewolves as in lichen exist? The answer is definitively yes. They're not entirely what people are assuming, but you really don't want to do it. I heard one person say they wanted to track a werewolf into its own den, just to see where they live and to get a reaction. I'm thinking that's just plain suicidal. It's kind of like crawling into a Wolverine's den just to see how happy he is.
It happens. People do it.
I thought werewolves were people, though. So wouldn't their den be their house, after they turn back into a person?
Well, that's why I said werewolves aren't exactly what people think. Werewolves aren't exactly humans that become this agitated thing. Problem is that way back when the human side of it was discovered, what it boiled down to was people that were off kilter and went completely off the deep end under a full moon. It was more of a psychological miscalculation, not a physical transformation.
Gotcha.
Okay, lichen are literally bipedal, and they appear as many different as there's various different types of animals, but they seem to come primarily from Lyra.
All right, moving on here. Sandra wants to know, do aliens wear hoodies?
That depends on if they're on Earth.
Let's claim they are.
Okay, then probably. They're easy to blend in with.
Who doesn't wear?
In some cases, I mean, there are some races you can have the biggest hoodie on the planet. It wouldn't help.
What do you think, Nicole?
Everybody should wear a hoodie.
The only one I can figure out that can't wear a hoodie is our listener Fap, because he can't get his head inside the hoodie. That's it.
You just need like a bigger hoodie.
There's not enough material out there, Keith.
They're perfect. They're perfect. You know, they conceal. You can like hide in them. They're like puffy. I could see like a gray hiding their big dome under a hoodie. Or
if you take a gray's dome and you multiply it by 2, that's Fap, our listener. There's no hoodie that's going to fit that. None.
It's just called custom made, Dave.
Exactly. All right, Cat Chaser is asking, why are we here, Keith?
That's the easy part. Literally to rediscover, to remember exactly who and what we are and what we're capable of. It is literally an issue of tracking down other parts. In a nutshell, the soul broke down into multiple small parts. Okay, each part absolutely independent, goes out, does its own thing. Okay. But as you get close to one, what people refer to as soulmates, when you find a soulmate, when both of your corporeal bodies die, the soul merges to become a higher entity. The purpose of coming to Earth is literally to remember who you are and to recall how to work with each other in order to actually make this planet. You know, the planet itself, people keep looking for the Garden of Eden. Earth itself is the Garden of Eden if people take the time to get along.
All right.
I
Troy,
agree with that.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
I'm
Nicole.
saying I agree. That's beautiful. And Fab.
Troy is asking, Keith, do aliens visit Earth to mine minerals or to study life on Earth?
For the most part, quite frankly, it's to study life on Earth. Xenosocioeconomics.
I'm going to refer back to Preston Dennett's research. He's got a bunch of cases where people give testimony about seeing craftsland or being visited and seeing beings collect plants and take them. So that's pretty interesting to come across and find out about. He's got a website too and a YouTube channel, Preston Dennett.
See, the neat little part about that is the plants, the minerals, the people, they're all interconnected on what makes this place work.
Logan is asking, do you believe aurora is caused by the sun or something to do with inner Earth? I'm going to assume he means aurora borealis.
Yeah, that I'm presuming that's what he's referring to as well. If you understand what an aura is, the aurora is what you call Earth. It is her aura. See, Earth itself is a race called a Corporan. And the aurora borealis is, I mean, it is technically affected by the sun because you see it mostly when the sun hits it in the right way. But it's got to be at the right harmonic run to do it, which is why you don't see it all the time. But that's her life force.
I like that.
All right. On that note, we're going to go to break. We got R Keith Andrews. We have Nicole Sakach for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. Then we're going to bring in John Hudson for the UFO report, the news, and the thought of the day, and a full measurement of FAP's head when we get back on Spaced Out Radio.
Poor Fap.
I'm not going to lie. That cracked me up. That cracked me up big time.
I feel like I started it with my scooter comment, and I don't even know how.
Snakes, thank you for the super chat. Look at Fap. Never met a hoodie I could fit in.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Derek Doherty, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on in. Oh, you guys are terrible. You guys are terrible. Fapping.
I'm just going to run and grab a drink of water. I'll be right back.
I'm trying to do a serious radio show here, and you guys are dropping bombs like that. It's terrible. Hey, Super Gary, what's happening? I'll be back. Who's your geode? Welcome to our channel. Thank you. We're going to break here. I'll be right back.
I'm back. Oh, and I'm the only one back. Okay, now. So I do have some good news. I did find an artist to deal with the Races of the Worlds book. Since you're sitting here, I did actually get an artist, so I'm putting them together now. Volume 2, I'm hoping to have the pictures for that one, but I've got some of the pictures here. I just have to get one more piece of information back from the artist, that in order for me to start being able to put them to use. But they are coming. Now I'm looking at some of these questions, and the only reason, like, there's a bunch of questions listed in the chat room right now, in the YouTube chat room. The only reason I'm not answering them right now is because I don't know what Dave's going to deal with, and I always let him decide which questions get answered. However, I will say, if you've got questions, if you track down my YouTube channel, Inner Voice Enterprises, or just literally if you type in R Keith Andrews into the search, you'll come up with a whole pile of videos of mine. The biggest one that I do, the biggest series running right now, is called The Journey. And underneath all of those videos are contact points to get a hold of me. If you've got questions that I don't answer here, absolutely drop me a line, and I will do my best to answer them. I do stay in constant connection with that channel in order to see what I'm up to. You're back. I went to get water there, Nick, and nobody was here.
I had
But yeah, like I said, if you've got questions and we don't get them answered here, drop me a line, and I will be happy to do my best to answer them. I've had a lot of questions come in. The one question that I will mention, because I would have mentioned it in the next whatchamacallit, the next video that I do, which will be done tomorrow. I was going to answer the question anyway, but I'm using I found an old coffee pot that I still had. I don't have a coffee urn yet, but I do know where to get one. One of the viewers actually sent me a link, and I'm going to be looking into it. It turns out I've already got the Amazon account. So thank you very much for that.
Apollo, this is my trick.
You want to pull a really neat trick? You hold the cup there, you put the bottle there, and watch the bottle fill.
No, I always start off with coffee, and then I switch to some soda. But, I was noticing that it's not very like ladylike to like chug a giant Mountain Dew in the middle of a broadcast. So
It's not bad if you hold up
trying
one
to,
finger.
make it look a little nice.
Yeah, just hold up one finger, Nick. It'll look classy.
This one's so big, I need all of my fingers to stabilize it.
See, that cup I couldn't hold on to. Because that handle you've got, my fingers won't fit in it.
So dainty. Yeah, I don't. I just bypass it. I loop it.
All right, we got 1 minute here, guys.
Here's one that you'll love.
You have the world's biggest. I know. This is the biggest in the galaxy.
That's the one he keeps going bang, bang, bang with.
This is the one that was actually built for the series.
Oh, wow.
This thing actually holds 1.5 pints. But that one was built. That was actually built. That's one of the things in the Elderbalkian Chronicles.
Is that like the skull of your enemy? Your
No.
worst enemy?
No, it was literally made out of a burl.
Nice.
It's just a natural cup,
Yep. I like it.
but it's a decent size.
Beautiful. Hello, gorgeous Gloria from Casual Conversation. How are you? Fap says, I think I could fit my head in that mug, Nicole. That's saying something.
Well, it is a decent sized coffee cup.
All right, guys, here we go.
My head almost fits inside this mug, so we could share hoodies, Fat.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Terrassus. Terrassus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We are also joined by author and researcher Nicole Sakach. Welcome back to the show. We're going to get right to the questions. Magic Maiden is asking Keith, what beings are from Mars?
Martokians. They look similar to humans, but they average about 6 feet tall, reverse knees, right? And they're kind of an off green in color. So, I mean, the idea of little green men from Mars, well, they are green. They're just not that little unless you look at their kids. This is why when people talk about colonizing Mars, I'm looking at it going, I think they call that an invasion when it's already occupied.
Okay. Evil Carl is asking, Keith, why sometimes do I see UFOs and sometimes I don't? Is there a reason for this?
Well, my first inclination would be to say that sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not.
That usually works. But, Keith, there are people out there who, you could be standing next to someone, they can see a UFO, and you're not seeing it.
That's because of the vibratization and the vibration of the whole thing on the subquantum levels. It doesn't always register for every person.
Can I jump in a little bit with that?
Sure.
I've come across and I think other researchers have too, that like sometimes there is a trauma trigger, a trauma that has triggered an event, or sometimes I've even come across where you hear these stories that people have had contact and then contact goes away and they wonder why or what like makes it start again. And when you really start talking with them, it seems like there's a trigger, like maybe a depression in their life or something that has like kicked it back to them in some way, shape, or form. And I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier. You have to look outside just like this UFO hat and find these other experiences, and then you can see like this pattern possibly throughout your whole life. So
that's an interesting way to put it. Never thought about it that way. Hexstar is asking, what are angels and where do they manifest from, Keith?
Angels literally are a race called Anjonas, which looks very similar to humans, but are completely winged. Okay. Now, exactly which planet they come from, to be frank, I'm not entirely certain where they started. I know they are around here an awful lot, but they stay just out of sync for the most part. They stay at a offset vibratory rate, which is why you don't see them very much. You know, every now and again, you know, you'll see somebody walking along in there, and literally they are very fine-looking individuals. But the wings don't, when we talk about their wings folding away, they do, but then take a look at a seagull, or any bird for that matter. When they fold their wings down, they tuck up pretty tight. So they'll appear to be a little heavier set, right, than normal humans. But very fine featured.
Perfect. Nikki is asking, why would ETs do surgery on a human to help them? What would be their point to do it? What did they get out of it?
There are, especially when you look at the Greys, there are some that's literally all they do, and their purpose for doing it is simply to help the human that is wounded. Now, in answer to the question, why don't they heal everybody? Well, why doesn't a restaurant serve every type of food? You know, I mean, basically it boils down to personal choice on their part. But it's not a question of getting paid. It's a question of what they feel. It's very much like your, what are they called? Philanthropists on Earth. They help people because that's what they decide to do. Because it makes them feel better.
Some researchers have noticed a pattern to testimony that some people have been healed or can heal after their experience. And to take the research even further, a lot of people have collected data that these people who have been healed go on to do stuff in their lives that is very philanthropic, like you just said. They might change their careers and become teachers or nurses or doctors. And when you start thinking about it in that sense, it's like, are they healed so they can turn around? Is that good thing? Like, does it have a blast radius? You know what I mean? And can you track that blast radius of influence, I guess you could call it? Like, one person's influence in life can affect so many people. So,
oh, it absolutely can. And can you track it? The answer is yes.
Yep.
Okay. Does it have that kind of effect on a lot of people? Absolutely. Because I find it the same if you deal with people just person to person.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out and bail somebody out of a major problem, they have a tendency of going out and repeating the favor. You know, the reality is that people, and all corporeals for that matter, are generally speaking decent people. Okay. So I mean, it does have that shockwave effect.
Right.
Very much like if somebody gets assaulted, quite often they will get angry at everybody. It has a shockwave effect the same way. Karmic law is simple in that respect, and it applies to everybody. Energy out, energy in. So when an off-worlder comes in, or when an ancient race comes up and says, I'm going to heal you, quite often that causes a shockwave that person will go out and do it to somebody else as well. But understanding that they tend to heal people that are of a lesser evolutionary standpoint,
right,
it becomes harder to actually carry it forward in the same magnitude, which is why, as you pointed out there, Nicole, it tends to trickle off. Well, it only goes so far and then stops.
I think it's good to note too that in this world, when we're talking about healing, it's not always as profound as, a blind person getting their sight back, or a lifelong illness suddenly disappearing. It's not always that profound. And when people claim to have gifts of being able to heal, that can be an array of things. I think people often just think of it as this hands-on sort of healing that we see in other spirituality, but it can even be as simple as you have this gift of being a wonderful listener. So if you can listen to people's problems and make them feel better by, lending them an ear, that's a healing gift. Or another of one of these spiritual gifts is honestly the gift of gab. And we're all doing it right now. When we talk about these issues, it makes some people feel better. It triggers other people into wanting to dive deeper into these topics. That's a gift. And, and it's simpler than just always like, oh, I'm cured of a disease. Like, you can really put it on like a day-to-day basis instead of like, something that epic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's face it, take a look at the power of a smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's face it, that has a capability of changing the world.
Well, here, one of my favorites is, how good does it feel to get a hug? When you need a hug and, something is bad and somebody gives you a good hug, like, wow, like that, it really feels good. And that's something that's so simple, like free hugs.
Vinny is asking, R Keith, well, we know you've been abducted. When's the last time you were abducted?
About a week ago.
What happened?
Well, I ended up having a heck of a problem. I couldn't quite figure out what the problem was, and that was the biggest issue. Normally, it's called contact, but I woke up. Basically, the entire event, I'm not entirely certain of at this point. I'm figuring that'll kick back in a week or so. But I do know I suffered from a massive potassium crash, right, and was completely out of sorts for about 3 days. And I do know that means that whatever went down created some real bad side effects. And normally that's like I said, unfortunately, we're only talking about a week ago, and the way my mind has always worked, that'll take me a little while to piece together.
I can see that. All right, next question comes from Jennifer. Are there ET animals out there?
Absolutely. One primary example would be your Chitawara, which people call a cryptid, except it isn't from here to start with. So, I mean, from that standpoint, yeah, there are definitively animals out there. The neat part is, if you go to Zeta Reticuli, there's a lot of what you would call ET plants. And rest assured, on Zeta Reticuli, much as the Greys are wonderful people, the plants, not so much so.
How come?
Because most of the plants on Zeta Reticuli are carnivorous.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me.
Pretty much.
Yep.
All right, let's go on here as we got more questions from our audience with time winding down. Apollo was asking, do aliens ever have fun, or is it always all down to business?
Oh heavens! The first crew that I ran into when I was 5 years old, I was when I ended up on their ship, they had a whole pile of short aliens. I don't know if they were kids or if some of them were adults, but they were all about the same height, and they played what amounted to zero-G wall ball. Right. So instead of playing wall ball with only the four walls to work with, they played with the roof and the floor at the same time.
That actually sounds fun.
It's a riot.
I want to play that.
Yeah, I'm ready.
But they've got, I mean, some of the games are a lot more violent. Like, for instance, if you take a look at some of the more violent races in games like baseball, people made fun of it back in the 80s with humans. But when you're taking a look at, like, for instance, your Moldavians, they do play a game similar to baseball, but they carry the bat with them.
I've always thought that should be an option, honestly. So
somebody could get hurt.
Let's make a combination of hockey and baseball. Like, I don't know.
See, when I was growing up, hockey was a case of I went into a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
That's why I quit watching it.
Oh gosh, how I miss a good hockey fight. Grandmaster
they absolutely have different games.
Grandmaster is asking, are we aliens?
I can't speak for him. I was born here.
Have scientists ever seen the backside of Fap's head? No.
I can see that's going to drag on for a while.
Yeah, for our radio listeners, Fap is one of our frequent chatters and wrenches in our YouTube chat, and he's got a large melon. He can't wear baseball caps because there isn't enough room.
But I do feel for him. In Kelowna here, the large hats are usually a double X. For me to find a cowboy hat, I actually had to get a 4X hat in order to be able to wear it.
This just in, Avi Loeb now claims that Fap's head is what drew Oumuamua towards Earth.
Wow, you went there. That is amazing. All right. John is asking.
Now it's over, though.
Just boom. John is asking, are any of these races UN members secretly?
Now, I cannot speak to that specifically, but I can tell you that none of them are permitted to take in a position of power. That doesn't mean they won't be part of the UN, but they won't be in a position. Not knowing the exact structure of the UN myself, if you have to be a person in power to be sitting in the UN, then the answer would have to be no.
They're
unlike humans, the consortium is none too happy about disobeying their laws.
Okay. Let's move on. Snakes is asking, are the races shown in the Men in Black movies possibly based on fact, such as the Balchinians?
Not recalling the Balchinians personally, I will tell you absolutely that that some of the races in that show are definitely based on it.
I can't breathe right now.
That's a real one. You know that.
Oh, the Balchinians are they're from somewhere. Just hanging around.
Balchin.
Keith has no clue what we're talking about. Go back and watch Men in Black The original one for the Balchinians.
I did. Well, fortunately I did watch the Men in Black, and that's why I said I do know some of them are based on fact, but I couldn't speak to all of them.
Okay, well let me ask you this. Getting back to the whole idea of the movie Men in Black, do extraterrestrials need to check in? Do they have a check-in almost like their own airport where they got to check in with their passports?
With their passports? No. Has something to do with the fact that that what we call the security system, where you walk through the metal detector, they do that before they even get into orbit.
Okay.
You know, it's more a question of you come through a biofield, and they've got all the information, but they have to get literal clearance, and more often than not, they have to get training before they are let down on Earth.
Vinny wants to know, who are the Men in Black?
Well, that depends on who we talk to. I mean, I do remember Johnny Cash was called that for the longest time. But the Men in Black are collectively, from my understanding, a government agency that is supposed to be dealing with a whole pile of super secret stuff.
All right. Evil Carl. Keith, I heard small grays have plant craft UFOs and have big worms in the greenhouse garden. Does that make any sense to you? Or is he just being Evil Carl?
He's probably being Evil Carl, but the reality is some of the worms they've got in their gardens will eat the grays. So yeah, they absolutely have big underground, the bigger animals.
I'm thinking trimmers, like Kevin Bacon trimmers.
Yeah.
Those kind of worms.
Oh, those aren't worms, but yes.
Whatever.
That kind of thing is quite normal.
Or what's
the thing those are more common on the Strazazian homeworld.
What's the thing in Star Trek or Star Wars that eats Boba Fett?
I know what you're referring to.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah, the big teeth there.
That's
big
like
teeth.
my megalodon there, Dave.
Well,
megalodons were nice little animals.
Well, they have death worms on this planet, allegedly. Hexstar is asking, as we got 2 minutes left, were the Freemasons or Illuminati formed by an extraterrestrial race?
No. Not from anything I've ever seen. The Freemasons themselves seem to be a very human evolution, and the Illuminati, well, let's just say them and I had a run-in a while back, and they weren't overly happy with me. But I keep telling people, I make everybody happy. Some people by showing up, and most of them by leaving.
Very true.
That's how I feel every day when I go into work.
All right. That time of the night again, everyone. R Keith Andrews, tell everybody where they can find your YouTube channel and your information. I know Dirty Filth is also wondering where to get your Alien Races book.
That's the easy part. My YouTube channel is Inner Voice Enterprises, or you can just scan for R Keith Andrews and it'll show up anyway. You'll find the videos. As far as getting in touch with me to get the Alien Races book, there's a list of contact numbers under every video where you can contact me at any one of them. Right. Easiest, of course, would be at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca.
Wonderful. Nicole, 30 seconds. Let everybody know where your YouTube channel is.
My name, Nicole Sakach, YouTube channel. You can also find me on Facebook. Either has my contact information if you would like my email, yada, yada, yada. Thank you, everybody.
It's been wonderful. Wonderful. My YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, I highly suggest you do because, well, we're gaining listeners and followers. We're almost at 13,000. So much so that many people think we're buying our subscribers. All I can say is this. If we were buying our subscribers, Nicole, we'd have about 100,000 by now.
You're making better money than I am.
Exactly. Coming up next, John Hudson is here for the UFO report, Shirky's Newswire, and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. We're clear.
Okay, doke. Well, that
Thank
was fun. Different, but
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Thank
Fap,
you,
I'm
Daniel.
sorry. I didn't mean to tell a big head joke.
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. Don't apologize for that. Did you see what he called me? Fat.
No, I turned off the chat after I made the joke. I was like, eh.
Way, man. No way. All right. Pretty cool. That was a good show.
It was
Solid radio there.
You're
Solid
gonna get
radio.
on. I hope Shirky Poo, her news is awesome as usual. But I'm gonna head out and head to bed so I can double time it at the restaurant tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Fab says he's going to tuck Nicole into bed now. Sorry, guys.
Oh, Fap. If I go upstairs and you're in there, get ready to be thrown out the window.
You never have to worry. He can't fit through the bedroom door.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Your bedroom will always be a safe place around Fap.
I'm picturing like Willie the Giant now, like coming down that giant beanstalk and
You never, ever want to push Fap down a snow-capped hill because it'll start an avalanche with him being the boulder.
All right, guys. I love you both. Catch you soon.
Take care. Bye, R Keith.
Take care.
Bye-bye, bud. All right, we're just waiting for Stetson John to get in here. There he is. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, hello, hello,
Hello.
hello,
Hello.
hello. Anybody out there?
Hello. Oh, don't you know what that is? You know what that is, right? Is there anybody out there?
Oh yeah.
Every time I used to get taken, I used to hear that.
Oh,
Right before.
oh, that's right. I heard you say that the other day. That's actually not cool.
Yeah, I mean using Pink Floyd.
I totally forgotten about that. I apologize because I don't know whose idea that was, but that was kind of messed up.
Yeah, that was not mine, but what do you do? I blame Pascal.
It's okay. There's probably someone out there that has 500 miles as their trigger song, so it could be worse.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Vinny's the only guy who needs tandem wheels on the back of a scooter. I just thought of that. I thought that was funny. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. What a funny night. The Balchinians.
That movie did a fantastic job of taking it just a little bit seriously and then doing a fantastic job making fun of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. Here's Fap. If you bastards saw me in person, you'd never guess my head was that big. Your head is the size of 4 Chad Smiths. All right. The people are asking, why are you hiding behind your microphone?
Oh, it's the way I sit and the way it comes, and I'll probably get a different setup at some point, but
Yeah. You know what else we gotta do for future shows? Are you running on Wi-Fi or are you plugged in?
At the moment, I'm running on Wi-Fi, but one thing I keep meaning to do is I have a separate, more stable Wi-Fi network that I can click onto that I probably should, because I heard some distortion the other day that really bugged me.
Yeah, we just had it.
Well, let me. How much time do we have?
Oh, about 30 seconds. We'll let it go for tonight, but for next time, we'll let it go. It's all good. We got 20 seconds. Hold on, Johnny.
Yep.
We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Dave Scott is my name. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Here we go with the unbiased UFO report as we bring in Stetson John Hudson to give us the update of what is going on around the UFO world. Calm before the storm as we wait for the aliens to arrive, or at least the government to talk more about them. John, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here. How you doing?
I am good, man. I am very, very good. Not really. Not really at all. I'm not happy with myself, actually.
That's a horrible way to wake up. I mean, to wake up from a nap like that and realize you got 3 minutes to do something or be somewhere, it's really not a good way to wake up.
It was terrible. Terrible. And, like, honestly, you feel like you're out of breath. You feel like you're out of breath, like you're trying to catch up, and it just doesn't seem to work. Doesn't seem to work. Let's head into the oceans and the waterways. Popular Mechanics looking into USOs. What's going on there?
Well, this is just, I mean, if you read the article, and I'll post a link later, and I encourage everyone to check it out. They're not really supplying anything that was new to me, at least, right? I mean, any new data that we hadn't heard before. But what they did do was what everyone else hasn't been doing. And that is that what you found in other reports is that most of the information about USOs has been omitted. Now, whether this is done for, clarity or content size, or I have no idea, but very often the USO information is either played down or it's not really dealt with. And so the fact that Popular Mechanics is actually, writing it, first off, Popular Mechanics is writing a UFO article, right? So that's always a good thing. And two, the fact that they're actually, specifically calling out USOs. And as I think that you and I have talked about it at some point in the past, the whole idea of calling them a UFO, I mean, one of the 5 observables that Lou Elizondo talks about is that they are transmedium devices, meaning they can go from orbit to space to see without it really seeming to impact them at all. And so realistically, we're guessing that probably any UFO type object would also be a USO. And so, it's possible that these terms kind of fall by the wayside as time goes on, but it was a nicely written article. It was good to see Popular Mechanics jumping into it. And it was nice to see someone focusing on, what I consider to be a more interesting aspect of the phenomenon, because there's so many other attributes that fall into the USO category.
Very true, very true, and I can see that. But is it the significance that we need to be worrying about UFOs underwater right now, or should we be concentrating on them in the sky?
Well, unfortunately, that really depends on where you think they come from. Because one of the many hypotheses that's been considered is that they might actually either come from a body of water, or they might use a body of water as a kind of a local way station for when they come here. And so, it might be that, if we really want to catch them in their, say, more, natural habitat, you might say, going in and looking for them in the seas, might actually be a good way to do it. And because of the work that the DOE does on looking for nuclear detonations, we have that acoustic network on the ocean floor that, just the other day was able to find that new species of whale. And so realistically, we should be able to identify USOs, at least by some frequencies, fairly accurately.
All right, let's
Or at
move
least
on.
they can.
Let's move on to our next topic here, because I'm going to be honest, USOs really don't interest me because they're near sharks, and I'm not going there.
Oh, right,
Not
right.
not
They're
not
probably
going there.
they probably work together, Dave.
No. A couple of weeks ago, we had Ross Coulthard on, award-winning journalist out of Australia, who, you know what? The more and more I see about him online and what he's doing, the more and more I believe this man is going to single-handedly force journalism into really hammering investigative techniques into this story. And God bless him for that, because he is doing some amazing work. What did he get up to now?
Well, so first off, I could not agree more. And there's probably a couple other points that I'll point out on his work in the next couple of weeks, because there's certain things that have just really impressed me, because he's taken this very aggressive, but polite, but very aggressive, real journalist approach to digging out these issues, and it's working. It is. I mean, he's really getting some good data. And so a really good example of this is, and it's funny we're getting this from an Australian individual, is the SAP program. So a lot of people have heard of the SAP program in clearance worlds. It's special access programs. And a lot of us, might be aware that, once you have a TS, SCI level clearance, that you then have the ability to be read into one of these SAP programs. And in most cases, these SAP programs are so protected that you can't even acknowledge what their name is. If someone identifies their name to you, you can't even say, "Oh, yeah, you guessed it," right? So, I mean, these are very, very sacred programs. There's been rumors forever that there are deeper programs. And what Ross did is he actually went through and did legwork and does a great job explaining that not only are there SAPs, but there are also what are called unacknowledged SAPs. And so these basically fall under a category where they are not under the purview of certain members of Congress, and they're not certain members of they don't show up in certain reports and so forth. And then there is, and those we were more sure about, the very rare waived unacknowledged SAPs. And those programs are really off the books. We don't know for sure, but there's a very good chance that if you're not on the list for that WUSAP, as some people will call it, that essentially there is an oversight committee for the SAP program that kind of self-manages it. And so the SAPs are all taken care of. My understanding is the unacknowledged ones may not be exposed to members of Congress, but they are paid attention to by the committee. It's unknown whether the waived unacknowledged programs have any oversight at all. We really don't know. And these are programs where, and I've spoken to an individual that was involved in one, and according to him, his NDAs lock him in till death. He is never, ever, ever for the rest of his life allowed to talk about any aspect of the work he did.
Now, for people in translation SAPs, we're talking black projects like like
Correct.
whatever replaced the SR-71.
Yes, or honestly, it could be a sensitive listening device, or it could honestly be a interrogation methodology that with some devices. It's basically any incredibly difficult problem that you need to solve where anyone finding out about it would put people's lives at jeopardy.
Interesting.
And
All right.
one thing to note is that the DOE has a completely separate program from the DOD. So they have their own set of SAPs, and we assume, USAPs and WUSAPs, and those are even more opaque to us.
All right. Let's go into update on Travis Walton. What's happening there?
Yeah, so I don't, some of these things are planned in the future. So I don't know how much of this is really about Travis, rebutting the criticisms he's had, or if it's just weird timing, or if perhaps the timing might be informative as to what's going on. But essentially, the hit documentary series on Netflix, which I recently read is actually the #3 series now on Netflix. Their most recent episode is a complete look at the Travis Walton case, and so that's a good opportunity for people that want to know more about what's going on there for him to look into it. For them to look into it. And then some people may not be aware, but there's a very interesting podcast called The Theory of Everything. It's usually a very, very technical, deep discussion, and it's usually around math and physics and consciousness and so forth. And today, Travis did an Answer Anything episode with The Theory of Everything. And so I haven't been able to hear yet when that will air, but I know they were looking for questions today. And so it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of that. And my assumption is that is as a result of what's been going on. And hopefully there'll be some questions answered by Travis in that talk that will, help people make a decision one way or the other.
Is Mike Rogers finally buttoned up his lips on this?
I have not heard anything from him in a week or so. His last interview with Erica Lukes, I believe is her name.
Yes.
That was a very unfortunate interview for him. I don't think he would have come off much worse if he tried. And so my sinking suspicion is that after that performance, he may be deciding that it's better for him not to.
You kind of broke up as to what happened there.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just that the interview went very, very badly, very, very badly for him, and there's a good chance that he maybe is taking a step back from the public light for a while as a result of that interview. It was very unfortunate.
Do you think in everything you've read that Mike Rogers, who was the crew leader, the owner of that logging company on that fateful day that Travis Walton was abducted by aliens, do you think he fully understands the damage he's caused over the last few months?
No, I don't. I mean, he might be beginning to. That's very, very possible. But no, I got the impression that all of his actions were occurring at a point in his life where he was very, very focused on his own surroundings and not the larger ramifications. Because the whole thing's just really unfortunate.
It really, really is. What else is a hot button issue? J.J. Abrams' UFO documentaries is gaining a lot of steam right now on Netflix.
Well, yeah. Well, so I just personally, I apologize. This may not be as exciting to other people as it is to me. I am a student of the processes as much as I am the content. And for me right now, who is doing work? who is doing documentaries, how they're going about it, who is writing articles, how they're going about it is in many cases as interesting as the actual content they're covering. And here you have, Netflix. I mean, you have Showtime not only, doubling down, by bringing in J.J. Abrams to do this, 4-part series, but then announced the Showtime was doing this, conversation where they were bringing in Greg, and I apologize if I'm unwelling his name, Agenian, who's a PhD from Penn State University, as well as the director and executive producer, Mark Moreau, from the documentary, and just doing a long form conversation where they were going into a lot of the backstory and going into a lot of the process. And for Showtime to be advertising that talk session as much as they are as a auxiliary package to the 4-part series, it just shows that everyone is just doubling down, and you're really starting to see people see a lot of earning potential in the UFO topic.
One thing I have a big issue with, nothing against the people, but against these directors, against these documentaries. It's the same people giving the same message on different film each time. And that's where I get worn out. Because you know what? I can honestly say, and I hate to admit this, probably shouldn't, because it's part of my homework for this show. But I don't watch documentaries of UFOs, because if I see Richard Dolan in one, nothing against Richard Dolan, I know he's pretty much saying the exact same thing in the same documentary or a different documentary 3 channels down. And, Stanton Friedman or Linda Moulton Howe, we used to see them on every one. I mean, we're getting a few new faces now, but I mean...
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate, because the problem is that when someone new jumps into the pool, the first people they see are these people floating on top, right? And so they go to them because they're safe, and they're safe to them because they're new. But for anyone that has been studying this for more than a week, you get the perspective that you're describing, which is that unless Dolan's discovered a new case or he's writing a new book, it's incredibly unlikely that he's going to say anything that I haven't heard him say before. Well,
I mean, I'll give you an example. There's a podcaster out there who has never been a journalist. Okay. She doesn't even have a radio show anymore. She literally was given the Golden Crown and then dropped the ball. Well, she's on Discovery Channel as a UFO journalist now, as an expert. And I'm sitting here thinking, how do I take this seriously? Nothing against the person, because all of us would do it. But are these networks not doing the homework that if you see someone, I don't know, maybe I should just bite my tongue at this point, because it's frustrating. And that's probably what I'm going to do.
The only thing I would tell you, Dave, is that I've been involved in other movements, in other areas of research where we've been at a similar point than this, and there is always this huge problem of how do you establish credibility, and how do you actually evaluate different researchers, and how do you compare them to each other. And right now the field is so loose and it's so Wild West that you just it's a mess. And honestly, it's a lot of it just has to do with the maturity level of this research space.
Very true.
It's just the nature of the beast.
Very true. All right, John, we will talk to you next time on the Unbiased UFO Report. Great job once again. Let's get to the news.
Thank you, sir.
The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the McDonald's. A Russian woman is suing McDonald's, claiming ads for their cheeseburgers made her break her month-long fast for Lent. And while that's already unusual enough, Ksenia Ovchinnikova, and the Orthodox Christian from Omsk, Russia, is only asking for 1,000 rubles or $17 Canadian as compensation for the sustained moral damage. Ovechkinina says McDonald's cheeseburgers and McNuggets ads prevented her from staying away from meat and other animal products during Lent in April 2019. Lent is a period during which the Orthodox Christians follow the Julian calendar, us good Ukrainians do that, and are expected to abstain from meat byproducts, not here, poultry, not here, eggs, only at breakfast, and dairy. Yeah, I don't think she'll win. I don't think she will win at all. Now, sticking with McDonald's, Wisconsin man who held the Guinness World Record for the lifetime Big Mac consumption since 1999 has had his record updated with his latest total, 32,340. Donald Gorski says he averages 2 of the McDonald's sandwiches a day, and he's been making them part of his routine since 1972. How is he not fat? Honestly. A sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System has sold for $2 million. You know, we all had this game. We all did. Breaking a record for video game sales that was set less than a month earlier. Collectibles investment website Rally announced the new in-box copy of the 1985 video game was purchased by an anonymous buyer for $2 million, breaking a record that was set in July when a copy of Super Mario 64 sold for $1.56 million. The Super Mario 64 game was sold just 2 days after the previous record amount of $870,000 was paid of a copy of 1987's Nintendo game, The Legend of Zelda. Oh, I love that game. I think we're starting to see the natural progression of what else? What are the things that have appreciated in value from my childhood that have nostalgia? Rob Petrozzo has said. He's one of the founders of Rally. Oh, man. To think, how are we so stupid? How are we so stupid back in the Nintendo days? Thank you to Captain Shirk for the awesome news on the SOR Newswire. Thank you to Big John Hudson for the unbiased UFO report, and R Keith Andrews and Nicole Sakach for the ET connection. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, LGAB, Twitch, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, and on Twitter. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. I'm done. That's a good show, people. Good show. Oh my God, I feel like shit right now. Dave doesn't get to go night-night for another 45 minutes. Dave's got to edit. Remain seated, please. Termine Cersei Pavlos, por favor. And I got a daddy long leg spider crawling around here again. Two of them now. Three. Seriously, this isn't a hostel for you. Four. You bastards. This isn't a hostile for you guys. You gotta go. Honestly. You gotta go. There's one. Take him outside first. Okay. No, you can't come in. No coming in. Okay, you gotta go too, little guy. That's two. Three coming out now. And where are you? There you are. There's four. Don't want to kill them. No, you can't climb back up the window. Five. Get off there. Stay. You're looking at me, you little bastard. I got the rules here. See if there's any more in here. I don't want to kill them. Oh, there's one. That's the biggest one yet. No, you can't crawl into my toque. Come on. Have some civility here. All right. And six of them in here. Six of them. That's just what I found. Thanks, snakes. Appreciate you. I mean, seriously. Like, have some couth. Have some couth. No, I didn't kill any of them. No way, man. I don't kill spiders. I pick them up and I put them outside. I'm sure there's no others. I like spiders. Not really, but I'm okay with them. Not done yet. Finally, the Rock has come back to SOR. I'm sorry for being tired tonight, guys. I am exhausted. Exhausted. Don't forget, tomorrow night and Sunday, you have the lovely and talented Lynn Wallington back in the hot seat from her witch's lair in Salem, Massachusetts. Well, that sounded good. From her witch's lair in Salem, Massachusetts. Who does Lynn have on tomorrow? Lynn has Jared Murphy. What's he do? Advanced Ancestors. That should be interesting. I'm going to tune in for that one. Why? Because I can, people. Because I can. Why does that seem like such a long segment? I guess not. I think Lynn is doing a fantastic job, by the way. I may be biased on that, but seriously, she is doing an amazing job. I have fast internet. What are you griping about my internet for there, Blocky Sheiky? I miss the UFO reports by Peter too. But you know, the overall product is a little bit stronger. I love Michael. We're going to be bringing Michael back on as guests here. What else is happening? Apollo, thank you. Appreciate that. We do our best. PH, what's happening? Well, you have to try it again on Tuesday, B. Huff. 8 balls put away for the night. Good night, Beelzebub. Honestly, I am tired. I haven't checked them out online yet. You know, I like Limp Bizkit. Wes Borland is such an amazing guitarist. I actually enjoy Limp Bizkit. You know, I just never understood why Fred Durst was always such a jerk. Or at least the reputation of being a jerk. I almost slept through the whole show. Must be a Chad Smith thing because my name is Chad Smith and I almost slept through the show too. Only 2 seconds, people. Do the documentaries go for a certain type of person comes across credible to the audience? Oh, absolutely, Mark. Absolutely. Hi, gorgeous Marie. How you doing? Lots. How you doing? Careful, Lots. You'll get yourself a free beard. I am so sick of forest fire smoke. Honestly. off. Doesn't need to be on anymore. There we go. I used to have an elastic in here. I gotta find them. I swear my hair has stopped growing too. Maybe my head's just crooked. I'll give you this color, lots. I'll give you all this if you want. I can always start over. It's like 4 different colors in it. That's not very nice, Fap. Hey, Tony Dewhurst. Can you imagine how long my hair would be if I actually didn't shave my sides and the back? Grandmaster's fine there, Block Chic. Grandmaster's fine. Oh, Fap, you have no idea how right you are with that, sadly. Ooh, boo, moo, ooh, boo, moo, ooh, moo, ooh, ooh, moo, ooh, I can't see your icon. Now you're going to make me go to the chat room on YouTube. Ooh, boo, boo, I can't even see your icon there either. I'm being ripped off here. Which emoji did you put up there, Block Shiki? Well, for you. Let's raise my eyebrows. John is on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Donald. I'm not Googling the Unicode for you. What does that mean? So lost here. Bye, Data. If I got like ramps put in my head here, I could almost expand to a quarter FAP. Oh, look at that. Crunch time. What's going on? What am I doing? Upload. Upload. I can honestly say I'm addicted to Instagram Reels. What did I just delete? Oh, I don't need that. Apollo, I am appreciative of your compliment. I do work hard, and this is why sometimes I forget. My team gets frustrated with me. Poor Gary, he's like, "Dude, you told me you were going to call me," and I'm like, "I forgot. I'm a zombie right now." I'm usually not this tired on a Friday night. Thank you, Donald. Is there anything that stands out in your mind for you in tonight's show? Yes, trying to find where the Balchinians come from. I'm Chad Smith. You're not Chad Smith. I'm Chad Smith. What about the mods? Now I gotta look again. You time yourself out, Clam? Are you timing yourself out, Clam? Because that's funny if you are. It's for science, right, Jeff? It's for science. Multiclam. That has to be one of the worst songs ever. Thomas Dolby's Blinded Me with Science. I'd put that in my top 5 of most hated songs ever. My number 1 hated song ever is Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi. I listen to that. When I hear it playing somewhere, I will literally run screaming in the opposite direction. Horrible song. Slaughter's Fly to the Angels is an amazing song. Mark Sanchez, what's going on? Disco Duck is not as bad, not even half as bad as Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi or Thomas Dolby's Blinded Me with Science. And my number two song is that Cell Phone One by Drake. That Hotline Bling song. Oh my God. That's terrible. Horrible. I don't care if he's a fellow Canadian. It's a horrific song. How that thing has been downloaded 1 billion times shows the brain power of today's society. Mbop was pretty bad. Hot damn, I got another spider in here. Told you there was more. I'm going to leave this guy, though. Oh, he's coming over here. Are you coming over here or not? Because if you come over here, I'm actually going to put you outside. Seriously, he's coming over here. Oh, that's a bigger one. I got 2 of them right here. I'm getting them out of here. That Hotline Bling song. Oh my God, it's horrible. Where'd this guy go? Blended in with my carpet right now. This guy's big. Check out this guy. Well, let's go outside, buddy. Oh, there's another one right in my window. That Mariah Carey song, Feeling Emotion, where she does that stupid high-pitched bullshit, that shit's got to go too. Focus and leave, Dave. Oh, I put him outside. I don't kill him. Now, if there was snakes in my house or tarantulas, then you got to burn the house. Oh, really, Tony Dewhurst? And anything by the Pointer Sisters, throw that shit out the window, too. Can't stand them. Oh, no. So wrong, Joe. So wrong. Triumph is good. I really in the 80s liked. Oh, there's another one. There's another one. Come here, buddy. Come here. No. Come here. Hmm? Oh, he's on my keyboard. Come here. No, you can't go on the keyboard, bud. You can't go on the keyboard. Okay? No. Come here. Come on up. We're not going to hurt you. Where'd he go? Well, he's gone somewhere. Wizard Gren! How you doing? All right. I am pretty much done here. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to go off to bed. I'm tired. Grenster is absolutely hammered. I liked Honeymoon Suite and Glass Tiger. Good Canadian bands there. So I'm going to get off to bed here. Big thank you to Evil Carl ×3. Snakes, Michael, Science Melinda, Pascal ×2, Vinster, Ozzy Steve, Apollo, Michael ×2, Chefist, Dirty Filth, Jason, Laura, and Cat Chaser for the amazing super chats. Don't forget, we have Lynn Wallington for Saturday and Sunday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. She's going to be amazing. You know that. I know that. So you guys take care. Have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday. Good night.